Welcome to another LRM YouTube video. This time we're taking a look at my 90. 4 years I've owned this, and I've worked out there are 10 modifications and improvements that I've made that I think you should too. I'm going to kick this list off with tyres, one of the most important things you can do to a Land Rover. I've got fitted Davanti Territoria all-terrain tyres, about 15,000 miles or so in, wearing quite well. Not the most aggressive all-terrain tyre, but for what this Land Rover does, which is 90%, 95% road, they're perfect. They are actually rated for snowy weather, although I've never tested it. We don't get snow in the UK like we used to. 235 85 16s. They're a really good tyre, quiet on the road. Have been green laning. Not so good in the mud. There are probably, if you were mud but didn't want to go full mud tyres, I would suggest going for a slightly more aggressive pattern. But in terms of rocky terrains on the green lanes up in Yorkshire, Peak District, they're bang on. And for the price, yeah, I quite rate them. So number 2 on my list is something that you can't actually see, and it's a tracker. So hidden within this vehicle, I have a tracker fitted. Everyone knows in the UK that thefts of Defenders is quite rife, so knowing where this car is at all times is really important. One of the main benefits to this tracker is that if it was to get stolen, I could text a special code and it will switch the engine off at anything under 20 kilometers an hour. So really handy. I'll give you a little run through actually, because if you open and shut a door, you get vibration alerts. You can also use it as a navigation tool as well, which is really good. I'll give you a demonstration. As you can probably see, hopefully the camera will pick up, there are 3 little notifications on this phone. It tells me when the engine was switched on, it tells me when the engine was switched off, and we've had a vibration alert because I've shut the back door. But on the app, if I just open the app now, it will tell us exactly where we are. Just give it time because I've not opened it. So my location is somewhere here in the middle of a field. And every 9 or 10 seconds, the satellites pick up the exact location of this car. And you can see here, it's found it now. And it tells me that the engine was stopped 20 minutes ago. It's currently off and not running, and there are 10 satellites tracking it. Peace of mind, it is definitely worth it. And there's a small subscription charge to pay every month. Peace of mind, definitely recommend that. Looking on the alert section, you can see every time the engine was on and off throughout today and yesterday. If we go back to here, you can also play back where you've been this week, today, yesterday, last week. You can play back the exact routes. So if you find a really lovely green lane somewhere, you can actually play it back to where the car's been and at what speed it was travelling. You can also set a geofence, so it will give me an alert if the car leaves within a set perimeter of what I've added. And I can send it command logs, so I can switch the engine off if it was to be running. So whilst we're on the subject of security, one of the other things to stop people from pinching your car, and what's aesthetically pleasing, is a new steering wheel. Defenders are known for having not a lot of room in them, so a slightly smaller steering wheel is what's called for. It gives you a little bit more elbow room when you're driving. Here I have a Motorlita steering wheel from our friends at Optimil, and the benefit of this is it has a quick release mechanism, so I can take the steering wheel in at night or wherever I leave it. So it's a quick method of releasing the steering wheel and off it goes. But if the car was running, you could get some grips on here and steer the car if you so wished. Not with one of these. And this is an Optimil swivel lock. As you can see, it's got locating pins. Sometimes a bit of a fiddle to fit. I'll have a go and see if I can get it on first time. But there's a there's a little bit of a tip here. If you do have one of these, this turns and it has to line up with these 3 locating pins here. You get the top one here, and if you hold that there, you can sometimes just, if you're lucky, get it straight on, and that is locked. There is no stealing this car. Next up, headlights. Really, really important. These are Brit Parts Lynx eye headlights, and basically light up the road ahead. 2,800 lumens on low beam and 4,450 high beam make a heck of a difference. And on these rural roads in Lincolnshire, seeing the road ahead is important. It picks up lots of the wildlife. Really, really strong, and they don't look too much of a modification. They're quite subtle, which is why I like them. Next up on the list is seats. This pair of seats are from Exmoor Trim in G4 trim. Many seat options are available on Exmoor Trim's website, but I opted for the G4 ones, which are in vinyl and not leather, because it suits my lifestyle a lot more, especially when my Jack Russell Sam is on board. Very comfortable, can sit in these for hours. And one of the modifications I would say to make, if your seats are absolutely hanging, because a lot of the foam will break down, they'll wear on the bolsters, they'll often have tears. If your budget doesn't stretch to full replacement seats, you can buy retrim kits. You can buy the foams and the covers and do it yourself. And you can retrofit heated elements. I don't have heated seats, probably wish I had opted for that, especially in an old van type 90. Highly recommended, very comfortable, and just makes it a more pleasant place to be. Front runner reef rack. This has been on for about 3.5 years now, and it did have my roof tent on the top, but that's now sitting on a trailer. Really handy for loading things onto it and just having that platform really. This is it's an aluminium one, sits on 4 legs per side, really sturdy, and if it can take my weight and a roof tent, then it's got to be up to scratch. No Land Rover doesn't look the part without roof racks. If you're on an expedition or a camping trip, load it all up there and go from there. As an option, you can buy the ladder, which I've done. Again, really handy, because your first step is mounted to the cross member there, and then you can pull yourself up on this sturdy ladder. You don't need to make any drill holes to fit the roof rack, but you do to fit the step, and they just go in the top cap in there. So minimal drilling, and yeah, comes flat packed. Put it together yourself. Really nice thing to have. Very useful. Land Rovers tend to be quite noisy old things, especially in van format, which is why I fitted Dodo Mat, and that's sound insulation and heat and cold insulation as well. So under here is a layer of hexagonal foil backed sheeting, and on top of that is foam. You can see a little bit under here. It just takes the drumming out of the panels. Probably best demonstrated on the side here. That would have been like a drum before, but because it's got these panels in, it dulls everything down. I've done the entire back. I've done the complete seat box and under the footwells, or around the footwells. I could go to town and do behind the doors and under the bonnet, but all in good time. So not only have I done the insulation under the floor, we topped it off with a genuine Land Rover rubber mat, and it just gives that really lovely quality feel. It would have been so noisy being in a van before. Factory fitted these panels on the roof just to take the drumming out, but they're not as good as retrofitting your own type of insulation. So to hide all of that sound insulation and the green inner panels, I fitted Mud UK's side panel kit with some cargo nets. Really handy to store for storage, and it just gives you that quality OEM feeling, as does the trim pieces around here, around the windows. And you can see here this circular hole here, that's for some speakers when I finally get round to fitting a radio. Good job of fitted sound insulation. I might have a chance of actually hearing it. What was really important to me was that the Land Rover drove like it left the factory. So when I changed the springs and shocks, because the old ones were tired, I opted for terra firma's springs and shocks, and it makes it ride really nice, especially on some of these fen roads that we're on today. One of our other videos, you can check it out, is of the fitting of front and rear anti-roll bars, which again transforms the handling of this Land Rover, rather than that wallowy feeling that you get, which for some reason from factory they didn't fit to the van model. That, from a handling point of view, is the single most thing I would do, and that is to keep it fairly standard. Whilst terra firma do lifted suspension, if you were to tow a lot, you might want to upgrade the rear springs. You might want to give it a lift kit for a couple of inches, but this being a standard one, it drives really well. So here we are, last on the list, last but not least. And in fact, I'm going to say this is probably one of the most favourite of the modifications that I've done to this Land Rover. And that is the Stage 1 Remap by Empire Tuning. I was never really happy before. 120 horsepower in this day and age, when you're trying to crack on a little bit, just simply wasn't enough. With a Stage 1 Remap, managed to increase the brake horsepower from 120 to 168 brake horsepower, there or thereabouts. And more importantly, the torque figure has been improved from 300 newton meters to 360 newton meters of torque. Makes a world of difference. And the great thing is, it's all done within the realms of the law. So the EGR is still there, and the catalytic converter is still there. So basically, there is no smoke, which is one of my requirements. So one of those under the radar kind of modifications that really does pep this up. And yeah, it's more than enough for me. Really happy. There you have it, my top 10 modifications and improvements. Be really interested to hear in the comments actually, if this was yours, have I done the right thing, the wrong thing, what would you change? Is there anything I need to do, anything you recommend that I do? I'm quite happy with the look that it's got, and basically it looks unmodified, but there are improvements for daily comfort and to prevent it getting stolen. So yeah, don't really want to do a lot more to it, but interested to hear what other people think. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe for many more videos to come, and we'll see you very soon.